Deal structure. I get this all the time. Hey Aaron, this is what I'm looking at. Here's the deal. How would you structure this? What structure do you use? Let me tell you what structure I use. When talking about deal structure, often the question is, hey Aaron, how do you do this? Do you use a fund? Do you give the investors more? Do you give them a pref? Do you use waterfalls? Do you use this? Do you use that? Do you use clawbacks? There's all sorts of structures. Like literally, the combination of all of those could lead to thousands or infinite different structures per deal. It's really important that when you start thinking and asking these questions about how to structure a deal, a business, an investment, that you have to keep in mind that every deal is so different that one size doesn't fit all. Now, sure, if you're a house flipper, you can get into a general structure of, hey, X amount for the money, X amount for the contractors, you know, if you're doing it in a JV deal, or here's what I'm gonna pay for this, and here's what the fees are for the realtors. That stuff works, and you can kind of create a little bit of a box for that. But most of the time, even then, depending on what your experience level is, depending on who your investors are, how long they've been doing it, what your track record and credibility is, and how much value is in the deal, all of those things will change. And so when people ask me that, I always answer that it's really important that for you to be really good at deal structure, which is just as important or more as sourcing and underwriting a deal, this is a skill. This is something that you get better at by experience. But for you to read a book from Kiyosaki or anybody else that can just outline this little thing, that might be a good starting point. But for you to be a master of deal structure, what's really important for you is you're going to have to understand what are all the different options. So if you immerse yourself in an education program, either just free YouTube and Google, or you have a mentor that knows and has done this for years, the most critical thing that you're gonna wanna ask and learn from them is what are all the different options? So when I say options, you know, there's debt options, there's equity options, there's dequity options, which is debt and equity. There's preferences, with debt, there's different interest rates, there's waterfalls, there's clawbacks, there's benchmarks. All of these things, you're gonna wanna understand every one of those terms and how they play into a deal, because then you'll be able to, what I call, whiteboard the whole deal. And when I say whiteboard, I mean like literally you pull out a whiteboard, you say, here's the business or here's the real estate project. Now, based on the project, I need X amount of money and I can lever it through debt or I can do it in equity and then I don't have any of the debt. Here's the investors that I have relationships with, and you profile those people and you match them up to the different deals. And then from there, you have to be very clear about what you want out of the deal, because that changes the entire structure as well. So if you're the type of person that, or you're at a time in your career where you're saying, you know what, I don't want big paydays anymore because, you know, it just feels like every time I sell a deal, I'm out of a job, and you want to create cash flow. Then from there, if you're looking at portfolioing an asset and just creating long-term sustainable cash flow, then you're going to want to structure that deal completely different than if it's a fix and flip, or if it's a buy this business, lever it up, and resell it. So all of these different data points, they come into account on how you structure it. You're not going to get good at that overnight. That's just experience. But one way that you'll accelerate that curve of getting really good is understanding the different options, exactly what those terminologies mean, where they apply, and then how they match up best for your anticipated or desired outcome. So understand, you look at a deal, you figure out what you want to do with the deal. What's the end goal? Is this a harvest, hold, a flip, whatever it is, figure that out. Now you have your outcome. From there, you back out and you say, to achieve that outcome, I need this kind of financing. To achieve this kind of financing, I need this kind of investor. I need these kind of LTVs. I need this kind of, that's the sequence that you build your structure in. And the more available tools that you have to be able to do that specifically, the better you're gonna get at it. So one thing that's come very, very natural for me now, just like many of you guys, like if you've ever played Monopoly, if you play it a lot, you get really, really good at as soon as there's an opportunity there with somebody to trade, you're making deals and it feels fluid and it feels natural. That's how I feel in real life about deal structure in any industry, because a deal's a deal. And if you know all the available structures and options, you can put it together very quickly so that it's a win-win for everybody. And so I would say that if you want to understand structure, try to learn as much as you can about every possible scenario, structure, and data input. And then once you've learned that, now you can start the application of those. And then really it's just experience. And it doesn't have to be your experience. I mean, for a lot of you, there's case studies, like free case studies of tons of deal structures online through YouTube, through mentorship. There's tons of programs, like quality programs, that'll teach you this kind of stuff too. So specific to your industry, dive in and look at as many as you can possibly see and get eyes on, because that's going to accelerate your rate of learning. And the more that you're exposed to, now when you get into real time and it's live and you're actually in the deal, you're going to be better and better and better at it. And I can tell you that in business, for me, outside of relationships and some communication skills, one of the skills that have served me as well or better than any has been this ability to be able to structure creatively and quickly and do it effectively with those people around me, through partners, through investors, through banks, through entrepreneurs. And so it's a really, really important skill, and I want all of you guys to take the time to get better at it, because you'll be so much better in your business as soon as you learn how to do this way better. If you enjoyed this video, please like it. If you found value in it, please share it with those that you care about. And if you want to see more of this stuff, please subscribe.